just to catch up with you guys, I have been going through some reading things, like some troubling, irritating things and aggravating things with my reading. But what happened was at the end of June, I started to pick up unread books off my bookshelves, as I normally would do, and I just kind of picked some bad ones, I think. I tried to read the first book in J.A. Janice's Joanna Brady series, which is called Desert Heat, and it was a desert. It was a desert. As some of you know who follow me on Goodreads, I kind of made a little comment about the book as I got to 100 pages, where I felt like the writing was pretty much, it had no flavor. But even though it has no flavor and the character is boring, and I cannot stand a book where, you know, this is no shade, but you know, the main protagonist has a child that's always with a backpack and a teddy bear screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," while he or she is trying to solve a mystery. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'll save this book for another day, another time, another period when I can really get into it, hopefully. So I decided to pick up this 7th book in Alan Bradley's, and let me say it right, Flavia DeLuce. You know I'm country, and I call her, I say Flavia DeLuke, like there's a K in it. You know, I love my simple syllables, okay? But I tried to read that book next, which is called the Chimney Sweepers Who Come to Dust, or something like that, and I got like 120 pages into that book and decided to put it aside also, which is very unusual considering I have a strong appreciation of that series. Not necessarily love it. So girl, I was frustrated. I was like, you know what, I keep picking these books off the shelf. I don't know if it's the whole moody reader aspect that's not, you know, connecting with my picks, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna step away from my personal bookshelves and I'm gonna go to the public library. And just to put a little timestamp on this, that all took place on Monday, which is the 3rd, and today is the 8th, which is Saturday of July. And I want to share with you guys at this point what has worked and what most certainly has not worked. So this will be a hit and miss video. Anyway, the first book that I ended up checking out was Denial by Keith Abloh, and you know, precursor, disclaimer, whatever you want to call it. But if I knew who this author was before I ended up spending my quality time and that $3 library fee that I owe picking this book up off the shelf, I never would have picked this up. But just a little backstory anyway. This is the first book in his, girl, what is this man's name? Frank Clevenger psychological thriller series. He's a forensic psychiatrist who spends an exorbitant amount of time smoking cigarettes, snorting coke, gambling, going to the strip club, grabbing women's hair and pulling it and tugging it during fellatio. And then here's this female victim with her breast cut out who has been sexually assaulted. I was getting this whole like hypermasculinity thing that I was just not feeling like. Hypermasculinity on top of a disregard for the female avatar, we can put it that way. I just knew that this was not my tea at all. And following closely behind that book, I did read Chris Abani. Becoming Abigail is a book about a Nigerian girl, you know, blossoming into a woman who is pressured and pushed into becoming a prostitute. But she lost her mother, who is also named Abigail, you know, after her mother gave birth to her. And she just kind of struggled throughout her life, you know, living with her father, trying to be like her mother, and then subsequently finding herself set free from her father, but put into the hands of someone who is far more nefarious than even he had been. What I loved about this book is that the way it was structured in the way that here's Abigail then, here's Abigail now. So you're sort of led to what she is at this current moment in time, where she's reflecting back to her past, and what, you know, how she became who she is today, which, you know, there's a lot of tragedy in this book, but it's still a very engrossing, haunting, in-depth read, beautifully written, I will say, because it kept me hooked the whole entire time. And just meditative in a sense, you know, how we deal with despair and loneliness and that sort of thing. So after I read Becoming Abigail, I picked up this book, which is called Hard Rain by Peter Abrams. I know Peter Abrams is all like super popular and stuff, but I gotta say that this book right here was not the business. No ma'am, Miss Pam, green eggs and ham. Girl, I got 100 pages in this one. I could only make it to 50 in this one. The book is about a woman whose daughter and ex-husband goes missing. You know, they have like the whole split of custody, and then the daughter goes to spend the weekend with him, and then they subsequently become missing. But you know, I can't really give a lot of details because I haven't read further enough, but I just will say the surrounding orbiting subject is espionage, spies, Woodstock, the 60s, that sort of theme comes into play, and you know, a woman's girth and triumph to solve, you know, the mystery of what happened to her daughter. You know, that fast-paced, whatever you want to say, girl. I really can't give you the right words to describe it. But that aside, the reason I decided to put this book up is because of the fact that I did not like Peter Abrams' writing. I'm gonna be completely honest. I know he's supposed to be popular and all that stuff, girl, but if it is what it is over here, it is what it is. I mean what I say and I say what I mean. The character's name in this book is, her name is Jessie. So the book reads like, Jessie opened the door. Jessie looked out the door. Jessie saw a car inside of her lot. Jessie went to the window. Oh my God, I'm exaggerating a little bit here. I love my receipts, girl, so I'm just gonna give you an example of what I mean and why this drove me crazy. This drove me crazy, okay? So it reads like, Jessie stood by the work table, comma, trembling. She'd never lost her temper with a client before, never handled her business so poorly. Suddenly she felt cold. The coldness brought her dream back to her. She went outside and drove to the house in Venice. Girl, like, no. Just not imaginative at all. Like, girl, you don't just get in the car and teleport to damn Venice. No, sir, you have to take me. I'm not necessarily mean you have to put us on the road, but, you know, there's got to be some contemplativeness going on here between Jessie and her decision to go to Venice. At least something. But, girl, it's just a sentence. She went to Venice. I'm currently reading is Boris Akunin's Sister Padilla, or is it Pelagia, and the White Bulldog. This is the first book in his sister oh my gosh, these Russian names, girl. That's my only problem with this book, is them Russian names, okay? They got about 3 or 4 names. This is the first book in his sister Pelagia series, if I'm saying it wrong. Of course, with her name, you know, the title of sister, she's a nun, but she is a nun who decides to go and help this aristocratic, well, there's some more context to that, but she helps this aristocratic woman try to figure out who exactly murdered her dog. Now, the dog is of a special breed, and because this aristocratic woman has built her business off of breeding dogs, you know, when someone decides to take the main top dog out, you know, his, you know, like a stallion with, you know, the mares, then that's going to be an issue for her. And it looks like the reason that the culprit took the dog out is because of the woman's will. And so it's one of those, it kind of reads like one of those English country house mysteries, which I really enjoy. But because this author is so new to me, and the book is translated from Russian, I do, like I said, found a little bit of frustration with the names, but I'm telling you right now, this book is a hit. That is the only complaint that I have about this book, is the fact that I have to keep reassociating names with characters over and over again, even though the names are spelled differently and they have different titles and that sort of thing. But definitely a hit right here, and I can't wait to get my cup of coffee and finish this book tonight. That is quite it. To sum it up, miss it. By Peter Abrams on the back. But, you know, I'm sorry, Mr. Abrams, child, you gotta give me something else. That ain't gonna do it. Hit. Definitely a hit. Can't wait to read this now. I'm gonna go get my coffee. And Unknown. So that's it. I gotta go. Peace. If you read any of these books, of course, drop me a comment down below. It's so great to hear from you guys all the time. God is good all the time. I'm so random like that. Y'all don't even know all the stuff I have to cut out of these videos half the time. Bye.